failed. Okay, that state you can see here. Apex jobs. Inside the Apex jobs, you can see job type is feature method and whether it is completed or not. Okay, what is the class and what is the job ID. But you cannot track inside the Apex transactions. Okay, so that's all is it. And one more thing, there will be an interview question like why feature methods are not allowed the S objects as parameters. Means, so feature methods cannot have the S objects or list of S objects as parameters because if you pass the some records, let's say user record I have queried and passed to the feature method. So it will be executed in future. In meanwhile, if this transaction updates the user and again this updates the this user record, means old version of record will be updated in the future method. Then new version of record will be overridden again. So changes will be overridden. We can't track that one. Because of that, it does not allow the S objects as parameters. Instead, we can pass the record IDs and you can query in the feature method and update here. So that latest records will come up and latest data will be available. Okay, so that is the feature method. Okay, so we have another concept called queuable Apex. So if you want to get another asynchronous Apex like a queuable Apex, you need to implement one queuable class system dot queuable. This is one interface. When you say that is interface, you need to implement the methods, whatever we have in that interface. If you see this, it will throw the error here. See, queuable example must implement the method execute method as this is implementing the queuable class, like queuable interface. Okay, just when it is public void execute system dot queuable context QC. Okay, so for this queuable Apex, you can pass the parameters as well. So here, let's say if you want to pass the parameters, you need to create parameterized constructor. Public, let's say I can pass user. Okay, for that you need to create the public user view. Okay, then this dot u equals to u. So directly what you can do is same logic, you can use this. Say this, you can pass as objects as parameters. Okay, now how you can call this queuable Apex? Queuable Apex called like very important system dot enqueue job. System dot enqueue job means this Apex class you need to create first object for it. QE equals to new queuable Apex. Here you need to give user, right? So for that, let's copy the code from here. I'm passing you as, okay. So what it does is it will give the job ID. See, if you need to understand, just go ahead and system class in Salesforce. System class, it is a very important class. System and database and some other classes are very, very important. See here, these are all methods about job assessments. Trying, if you call something from trigger or something, if you want to check if the code is running in the trigger or not, also there is some method. Is phased running is scheduled. Is trigger executing. Is trigger dot is executing is one functionality will be there. Okay. So now NQ job, right? You this NQ job will return ID. Okay. You can check that ID later. See this the job ID. Okay, and you can okay. Now here you can call this one. Well, where is this? Okay, checked. What is the object? QE. This is QE object. Okay. Now you can see this. Okay. Here you can see, but again the job. See here, QE job that is completed. Okay. So this here you can. So where can we track this one? Okay. Here the series asynchronous apex. You have job ID as well, right? Debug it, transaction. Here, this is the transaction. You can get job ID. Okay, so this is the job ID. But when you compare with the feature method doesn't return any job ID. You cannot track it, but you have the job ID for the queuable apex. So for that, we have one method called asynchronous apex job. Asynchronous apex job. Here you can get all the fields, okay, where ID equals to this one. Try this. Okay, you can get this in the Apex transactions as well. Job type, Apex class ID, all the details when it is completed, what's the class name, and everything will be given here. Okay, so you can try here. So when you compare with the feature method, queuable Apex is having some advantages. One thing is you can pass the parameters, any parameters like primitive data types or S objects, whatever it is, you can pass as the parameters by using the constructor. Okay, that's something, and you can get the job ID, and you can call one queuable class, one queuable job from another queuable job. Okay, if you want call one queuable job from another one, you can call it. There is no issue. But in feature method, you cannot call one feature method from another feature method. Okay. Make sure that you are writing time test class. Every time test class should be written. Get the same simple code. Here, what you need to do, you have to keep this test done. Start test done. Stop test. Okay. So, but try that, and again update this. What it is trying? It's trying to update one more, right? So user one expected system dot set dot attempts plus one dot because when we call the queuable job, this will be plus one. Okay. So now here, if we see queuable job, it will be 100% covered. Okay. So this is about queuable example. So when we'll go for feature and synchronous apex, when you want to run the long running process, you can go for queuable. When you want to pass the parameters as a subject, you can go for queuable apex. When you want to pass parameters as any primitive data types and you want to call out or something, you can use feature methods and to avoid the mixed DML operations. Okay, and then the queuable, you can call one queuable from another queuable, but you cannot call one feature method from another feature method. Okay, so when you are calling the feature method from triggers, you should be very careful. Okay, because if you use the feature method inside the for loop, then it will keep on running and it will throw some kind of exceptions like the limits will be keep on decreasing. Okay, so how many asynchronous transactions can be performed in 24 hours? Okay, 2,50,000 transactions or 2,50,000 asynchronous calls can be allocated per organization or number of licenses into 200. If you have 1,000 licenses, 1,000 into 200. But here 1,000 into 200 will be 2 lakhs only, right? But 2,50,000 is major, that will be allocated. If you have 2,000 licenses into 200, then 4 lakhs it will be. So this 4 lakhs is license is the more, right? So now 3,000 limit will be removed and 4 lakhs limit will be allocated to your organization per 24 hours. So that's you have to learn on this one. Okay? Just understand and prepare the notes first. What's a feature method, how it allows. What is a queuable apex and how it goes. I need notes from each and every one. Right? So tomorrow I'll ask you guys what you have prepared. You have to read whatever you have written in your note. Feature method, queuable apex, how to test that. Okay? So I'll ask anyone. You guys have to read that. Take care, guys. Bye. Any questions?